Aurora wants us to be together. Don't you see that? It's why she put us here. I thought I could push back, and look what happened. Here we are. She's got a plan. Aurora's always got a plan. For you, for me, for the United States, for the whole world. Today on the Comic Book Report, Undiscovered Country, Volume 4, Disunity. Stick around and check it out. How's it going, everyone? This is Dominic, and today you're tuning in to the Comic Book Report, where we review comic books and graphic novels so you can get an idea of what to read. And yes, at long last, here is the Volume 4 coverage for Undiscovered Country. These videos never perform overly well, but I've had a couple requests, and frankly, I'm still loving this series, so we're doing a full review today. Before we jump in, though, I just want to shout out our channel sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. If you're looking to pick up your own comic book collected editions, I highly encourage you to check out their website. You can find a link in this video's description, and if you see something you like, you can even use my discount code at checkout, TheComicBookReport, to receive $2 off of your order. Please note if you use my affiliate link or code to make a purchase, I will earn a small commission, but it's a fantastic way to support this channel. Thank you for considering. Now let's get started with today's review. First, some quick facts about today's collection. The issues in this volume were written by Scott Snyder and Charles Soule, and illustrated primarily by Guiseppe Camuncoli. The comics in this volume were published by Image Comics beginning in 2022. The volume itself collects Undiscovered Country, issues 19 through 24, and the Destiny Man Special. This is a standard-size paperback with glossy print paper stock, a glued binding, and a total of 192 pages. At this time, I'd like to issue a general spoiler warning. I will be flipping through the contents of today's collection and commenting on plot points throughout. You've been advised. Okay, and here's our first look at that standard-sized trade paperback from Image Comics. I'm happy to report it is totally uniform with the other three collections in this series thus far. I have reviewed the first 3 volumes of Undiscovered Country on my channel if you have yet to see the reviews. This is an Image Comics series that is still ongoing, and it's been one of my favorites in recent years. I can't stop reviewing these volumes. I know they don't always do well on this channel, but I've turned some people on to this series, and to me, that's reason enough. You couple that with the fact that I'm genuinely enjoying this run, and frankly, I just like doing it. I'm going to keep pumping out these reviews as long as these volumes still hold up, which I think they are. I love the design here. It's cool that this volume is called Disunity. I know volume 2 was called Unity, and this was frankly one of my favorite volumes in the series thus far, but we'll get more to that in a second. I will admit the back cover could maybe use a little bit of work. I don't think it's that poppy or engaging, but it's still a solid cover. You know, honestly, this is a really well-made little paperback. Nothing too crazy, no additional bells and whistles as far as the exterior goes. I am happy to say there are some extras. We'll get to that as well. Before we do, though, we are going to take a look at the binding on this guy. So it's just a standard glued binding for your traditional trade paperbacks. Nothing crazy here. There was a little bit of gutter loss, maybe. Honestly, I didn't find it to be too bad. You'll see for yourself as I flip through the collection, and you can make your own determinations. Okay, and with that out of the way, we can dive into the collection proper. We have a nice title page, some publication information, and then we jump right into the first issue included in this collection, which is that Destiny Man Special. This is a one-shot, but frankly, it could have easily just been the next issue in sequence. It does kind of take place after the end of events on Volume 3, but yes, it does focus on the backstory of Destiny Man, which we had a huge revelation about on the end of Volume 3. Again, spoilers, but he's actually a brother to a pair of the main characters in this cast. Really good revelation here. We get a little bit of his upbringing in this Destiny Man Special, kind of how he experimented on and mutated himself and what his connection is to Aurora and the country and kind of what his whole goals are. He really is an agent of chaos, and he really is a product of this new walled-off America. We see him as monstrous, but we get to see a little bit more of his humanity and character character in this special, I actually felt it to be really, really effective, and it really got me excited for this volume. I will admit that volume 3 was probably the weakest point in the series so far for me. I still thought it was very good, but it just didn't have as much punch as the first 2 volumes did, at least for me. I think it ended pretty well though, and this volume easily is one of my favorites. After we have some great revelations in the Destiny Man special, we jump right into the main issues of the series included in this collection. And it starts with a bang. As the title suggests, Disunity, one of the main plot points in this volume is that the main cast that for the most part has been together for the entirety of this series gets separated. At the end of volume 3, they all kind of get thrown apart, and we now have smaller groups of characters. So what's cool about this, across the issues, we follow these smaller groupings of the characters, and we get to see more character depth. I think with a big ensemble cast list, or character list rather, it can be overwhelming at times to feel like we're getting enough development for each of the characters. There's always a lot of juggling going on, and if you have a scene with all your characters, because you're going breadth-wise, maybe bigger with all of the characters, it's hard to achieve some of that depth. So I actually think this shakeup is actually extremely good for developing some of these characters. Some of the pairings as well are pretty interesting, and we get to see some character dynamics that maybe would not have been explored otherwise. We have the brother and Destiny Man by themselves during that special. We have the sister along with another one of the female characters getting transported through different time periods in American history. And then we have another pairing of like 3 characters that kind of go into like an alternate future. It's really, really a fun setup for this volume. There's a lot of kind of time travel mechanics. They're in, largely most of them are in the zone of history, and we have this kind of interesting puppet master figure messing with time and kind of moving these characters around. And we get to see what we believe are maybe alternate Earths, alternate futures, pasts that can maybe be transmuted or changed slightly. Some of these characters kind of keep coming back after they've died, and they get thrown to different periods in American history. All of these mechanics are, I think, very fascinating. I love the science fiction facet of this entire series. To be in this dystopian, fantastical America and to have all of these fun mechanics, it really just keeps me engaged as a reader. I think how they approach time travel in this, or how they approach that whole setup, really worked for the series. It felt very true in universe, and I think the choice to splinter the characters into these smaller groupings could not have occurred at a better time. Because of this shakeup, I felt like I had a deeper appreciation for almost every character in this series. The art from Guiseppe Camuncoli, switching over to the art for a moment, is always as strong as it's been. He's been the series artist up to this point, just on almost about everything, and frankly, I love this style. He has absolutely fleshed out this world, and I think having a consistent artist absolutely helps with just engaging and immersing in the storytelling. I think because the way this whole series is set up, where these characters go through these very distinctive different zones, they're almost treated like their own fantasy landscapes in each volume as we go to these different areas. And to see Camuncoli adapt all of these different just biomes and settings and technologies and cultures, it's just really fun. And I think with a volume like this that does so much with time travel, it was really cool to see his hand at different periods in American history, as well as kind of a theoretical high science dystopian future. Really enjoyed this volume. I think the art was some of the sharpest it's been. I do think the high bar for me so far in this series might have been volume 2, Unity, but this one may give it a run for its money, because at this point I'm invested in these characters, and because of the character growth here, I find myself even more invested. By the end of this volume, I absolutely am chomping at the bit to see what happens next. I have no idea where this series is going to go. I think being an indie published series, it's even more unpredictable because they take a lot more chances. Scott Snyder and Charles Soule are both comic writers that I've come to really admire and like. I love reading some of their other works. I'm a huge fan of that Scott Snyder Greg Capullo Batman run. And for Charles Soule, I'm really enjoying some of the stuff I've read from him with Daredevil. I've enjoyed what I've read of his Vader run and some of his other Star Wars works. So having them teamed up on this series, it's just just been a consistent joy to me over the last year or so. I know for me, a lot of people have requested this Volume 4, just like they requested Volume 3, and I know that you don't always get the numbers, but I do like to still shine a spotlight on these other series that aren't just in the big two. I don't read a ton of indie, I do like to dabble, and when I find a series I like to promote it, I like to get more word out there, because frankly, I'm surprised that more people aren't talking about this series. It has to still be going strong, we're still getting issues, we're still getting these collections, but I would just love to see more people check out this book. If you are reading Undiscovered Country, maybe you're reading the collections like I am, or maybe you're current with single issues, either way, I'd love to hear feedback from you in the comments. I'm definitely looking for more fans of this awesome series, but for me right now, I just can keep recommending it because it's just that good. You can see as I've been flipping through, but even these next couple pages, the different time periods, it's just really fascinating. We get to see older versions of some of these characters. We get to see some characters lost into history, like Paul Revere, I think, shows up at one point. We see, I think, in Abraham Lincoln? Am I mistaken about that? I'm not sure. Anyway, this has been a really fun read. I think the central mystery is still engaging and interesting. I think the more we're learning about Aurora as kind of this entity or force behind everything, this puppet master, the more I can't wait for them to get to just the center. I'm waiting to see them get to the meat of what's really going on here. I hope we get a good payoff. This series is still ongoing, and honestly, that's part of the fun for me with this title as well. At the time of this recording, this is still very much an ongoing series. I know for a lot of these independent series, I find them once they're already completed or once all the collections are already out, but to have a series that's still ongoing from one of these smaller publishers, although Image is still quite large, I just love it. I love that I don't know what's going to happen next. I love that it's still ongoing. It's still in discussion for those that are reading it, and that's another reason I like to do books like this, because it's not too late to jump on, to catch up, and then to just be in the discussion as it's coming out. Right now, I just think it's really well paced. I think that this, again, was such a masterstroke of a volume to bring it in some ways smaller, even as you explore these kind of high concept sci-fi tropes. Like, yes, we're going to throw this whole timescape at you where we're going to be jumping backwards and forwards in time, alternate futures, all of these new ideas and technologies. But while all that's happening, we actually get intimate with these smaller groupings of characters. We get to really just lean into the relational moments and dynamics between these characters. We get to see some character kind of motivations come to the surface for some of these. We really start to ask the question, like, why are these people here? What do they really want from this journey anymore? Are they trying to find a cure for this disease that's plaguing the rest of the world? Are they trying to find some deeper truths? Are they trying to find family or love or end to this mystery? Are some of their priorities changing? Like, these are all questions that start to come to the surface in this volume, and I just think it was so well timed in the scope of the series. Because I think for me, while there was some good character development in Volume 3 as well, I needed something like this. I needed something that focused more on some of these smaller groupings of characters so that I felt like I was getting connected back with them again. And I think that that's the largest selling point I have for Disunity as a volume, if you've been following this series, is that we're really just back caring about the characters. Yes, the central mystery is still being developed. Yes, we get the next breadcrumb piece of the puzzle. This feels like a nice big step forward. It feels like we're jostling the status quo a little bit. And I just think that it worked for this series. It's definitely a kind of shot in the arm for me of, yes, we're back in the swing of it. I'm definitely still interested in this series, which out of Volume 4, I'm so happy I'm not giving myself reasons to jump off ship. I'm still just as excited, and if anything, more eager to see where this story takes me in the years to come, hopefully. There's, of course, other plot points I'm leaving out of this review because I'm hoping people really dive in for themselves, but I've given you kind of an overview of what this thing includes. At the back of the book here, you can see we have another wealth of extras, which I just love. I love how much Image has been packing these, even paperbacks with extras. We get some great character models, sketchings, kind of production images. We get some great just cover art, variant cover art gallery. There's even a whole kind of deconstruction of how they came up with the cover for this collection, which I just really like. I just think this is all so detailed. It helps fill out the world even more. If you're a fan like I am of supplementary materials or these extras at the back of these collected editions, Undiscovered Country always delivers. Again, even with paperback, I feel like they're not shy to include like maybe a dozen or so pages of extras, and I just love it. I just think you get such a bang for your buck. At almost 200 pages, this next trade paperback volume, I feel like it's a pretty good size for a paperback. I've been really dissatisfied getting collections from, I know Marvel does this quite a bit, where you get like a paperback that's 4 issues. I'm like, come on. I love the Image. We're getting a couple more issues. We're getting the special. We're getting these extras. It's just really great to see, and I think that this was a great volume. And now all that's left is to give this collection a grade. For exploring even more high-concept science fiction and fantasy ideas, focusing more on the character development in the midst of everything, The Comic Book Report is happy to give Undiscovered Country Volume 4 Disunity a B. This is definitely an above-average collection from me, and this series is back in top form. Easily one of my favorite entries thus far. I have maybe never been more engaged with this series. I'm delighted to say that as I now approach Volume 5, hopefully in the future here, but wow, what a great ride. I'd love to hear from you if you're a fan of this work. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of these videos. If you have other great indie recommendations, let me know all about that in the comments, and until next time, this has been the Comic Book Report. Please don't forget to give this video a like, maybe share it with a friend, and before you leave, maybe check out another video. Thank you so much and have a good one.